whenever I say this about a conversion, you bite my head off. Whenever I say, oh, I admire that they made it, you always go, oh, yeah, but it's rubbish. What's the point? So, to you, no, it looks awful. It's slow and unplayable. All the other people have commented underneath the Long World of Long Plays videos, it's terrible, it's awful. I don't know why they bothered making it. It's terrible. Hello everyone and welcome to Spectrum Days, the podcast where we try and remember games from the past, have a break, and then we go and play them and see if they live up to our rose-tinted memories of how games used to be. And this time we are looking at Street Fighter 2. The World Warrior, I think. Actually, the subtitle is World Warrior, isn't it? World Warrior? I think.
I don't know.
I think it is. We never called it that. It was when doing the extensive research for this week's episode, I suddenly realised that, the subtitle is The World Warrior. I never called it that. Did you notice that back then?
Hello.
Who are you?
Hey.
Oh, yeah, that's Chris. I'm Phil.
How you doing?
Everyone knows us. They want to know about Street Fighter 2.
One of our thousands and thousands of subscribers.
Yeah, they're all going, they've broken tradition. Phil's introduced it and he's forgotten who the other guy is.
So, yes,
do you remember
Street Fighter 2. Vaguely.
Yeah, you were saying off mic it wasn't really something that you were massively into.
But I think I played it more... Well, the reason being is that I just get confused with my old man memory now of Street Fighter 1, Street Fighter 2,
You're
Street
Chris.
Fighter whatever. Yes, thank you. So 1991 release. Was that the arcade
1991
release?
for the arcades. This is Street Fighter 2. We ought to point out there is, yes, an original Street Fighter, which was 1987 in arcades, which is a bit of a weird one. We won't spend an awful lot of time talking about it because it was fairly dreadful. But, of course, we do have to pay homage to it because it's what gave birth to Street Fighter 2 and the phenomena that game became. The weird thing is with Street Fighter, the original arcade machine, the thing that does need pointing at is that it had these sort of big big as your hand, domed, touch-sensitive pads that you'd have to hit. And you slam your hand down on them to perform the moves. The original arcade, they did then change it when they realised they were probably breaking people's hands, more importantly. And we ended up with the 6-button configuration that then got used in Street Fighter 2. But I do actually remember seeing the original Street Fighter. I think it was in Portsmouth in the arcades when I was a little lad. And that came out in 1987. And it had these big pads. They looked like giant Smarties, these big sort of domed rubber things that you had to hit.
Oh, do me a favour, mate. Why is it that anything that's round and colourful gets described as a Smartie? It's just lazy journalism, for crying out loud. I mean, I know this is just a podcast and it's not meant to be factually accurate, but come on, you could do better than that. I'm massive. I'm made of rubber. I'm knobbly. I am not smooth and scented with lovely, yummy chocolate. Therefore, I am not a Smartie. Do you understand? Street Fighter. I'm made of it.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember that. I must have been... So I was 17 then when Street Fighter 2 came out.
Yeah.
And I was at college. Yeah. And I can remember playing at the local arcade there. So maybe it was Street Fighter 2 that I actually played in the arcade. And I cannot remember what you're describing.
No.
I never had a go at that.
No, as I say, they did realise that it wasn't, I don't know, it was either wasn't surviving the punishment or people's hands wasn't surviving actually having to hit it. So it wasn't a very nuanced game, the first one. The fact you had to whack these things. But but Street Fighter 2, 1991, it changed the landscape of arcades in general, and it changed gaming. I mean, before then, fighting games, although they were popular, it wasn't like this. You ended up with sort of tournaments. You ended up with large groups of people playing it, queuing up, taking turns to play it like you would with like pool or snooker. You know, the winner would stay on, and people would be queuing up with their money, waiting to take on the local guy who was really good at it. I mean, I remember going to the arcade that was attached attached to? What was the thing where you shoot the lasers? Is it Laser Squad or something that's sort of popular?
No, Laser Tag. Laser Squad was
Laser
the game
Quest.
by Julian Gollop.
Oh,
Laser
yeah.
Quest,
Laser Quest, I think it was called.
So Laser or
It was in
Quasar.
Bath. Do you remember it?
Quasar.
Was
That
it
was
Quasar in Bath?
So Laser Tag is the genre.
Yeah.
And Quasar was a brand within.
Was it Quasar, the one in Bath? Did you go to the one in Bath?
I think so.
It was in the same building that was Future Publishing, which was, I think it's Future Publishing, who did all the magazines. They were in the same building. But in the foyer area, they had arcades. Before you went in, played your game of Laser, whatever it is, you could play the arcades. And I remember Street Fighter 2 was in there. And there was a guy who just was on it the entire time. He was amazing, and no one could beat him. That was the first time I'd really seen that sort of someone dominating a machine and other people trying to challenge them. It'd gone beyond that sort of just getting a high score thing, or it was, you really were fighting. It was two people going there and fighting head to head,
or just mashing buttons,
or just
it's
mashing
a bit hectic.
But that's the thing. It was one of those games where you suddenly had moves that you could pull off in elaborate ways with using the joystick in half and quarter turns, and full half turns from left to right, pressing the button at the right time to perform the various moves.
That was already in the Way of the Exploding Fist on the ZX Spectrum.
No.
Excuse me, what are you doing? Showing you my moves, 1980s boy. Oh, how lovely. I use a series of 1/4 turns of a joystick, accompanied by 6 separate buttons with which I can achieve combos and special powers. Splendid. I flatten my opponents with 1 strike. I have a black belt. So do I. It's yellow. Well, there's a very good reason for that. The limits of the hardware that... Oh, he's off again. I think I'll just go home. Odd fellow.
Yeah, of course it was.
No, that was
Roundhouse.
QWEASD ZXD.
And then
nothing like it.
And then on IK Plus, International Karate Plus, on the Commodore Amiga, you could do. You got those kind of the jump split kind of move, and in fact, you had got 3 or 2 other enemies on screen at once on IK Plus.
Those were basic button presses and combinations.
No, they were a little slower. They were count down. They were count down. There was more skill, and you couldn't throw silly magic either.
Silly magic?
Yeah.
You mean fireballs and Hadoukens and hand slap?
Hadouken. Yeah. Go on then. Go on, do an impression.
No.
I think it's like back, left, round it, circle it around a bit, and you'll do one of those jump up spin.
Yeah, that was it. Back,
Big
round
punch.
it a bit and circle it. That's almost as bad as QWEASD.
But I mean, I can remember. Yeah, it's a good game.
It was
nice
a massive phenomenon, Chris. It really changed the arcades, because by then arcades were starting to go out of fashion because everyone had a home console by then. Let's face it, everyone had a Mega Drive by around 1990. We're talking a year or more after that by the time this came out. And then got all the iterations of it. I mean, it spawned masses of follow-ups. I mean, Street Fighter 2 lived forever. I mean, there never really was a Street Fighter 3. We were always expecting there was going to be a Street Fighter 3, but it just changed into Hyper Fighting and Turbo and Championship Edition and all these other weird editions of the same game, but just with new characters, or you could play as the bosses, or you could have 2 of the same character on the screen at once, or... It was Street Fighter 2 became its own thing. It was weird.
But why didn't I? Because I'm looking here, and it was available on the Amiga.
Yeah, it came out on the Amiga. I mean, bizarrely, the version for the Spectrum came out before the Super Nintendo. which I think's fantastic. Only by about a month or so or something. But
that's incredible. I can't remember. I mean, by that time, I didn't use the Spectrum anymore, so maybe that's why I never saw it on the Spectrum. But that could be an interesting one to look at.
Yeah, we'll have to have a look.
yeah, that's really piqued my interest now. It can't be better than Where the Exploding Fist. And the Amiga, I mean, maybe I just couldn't afford it, and I would never have backed up any other floppy disks off of anyone else to try it. So actually, maybe that's why I never played it.
I have to embarrass you here, and I may even put it in our video for those of you.
Oh God, you found a copy of it.
Those of you who are listening to the audio-only version, we do have a YouTube channel, which I suggest you check out, because we do tend to, I was going to say, pad out these terrible podcasts with some visuals. To make them slightly more interesting, I might put on the screen the list that I found in your very handwriting
of original
Amiga titles that you have backed up. I'm doing air quotes for those of you
originals
that you backed up. A little list of all the games, which I made on the screen.
I can't believe that's true.
That's very true.
I can't remember. There 4 floppy disks it came on, but I never. No, pretty sure I've never played it.
I think I did, and it was fairly terrible.
Oh, on the Amiga, you mean?
Yeah, I think.
So what did you?
A bit slow.
What is on the Game Boy as well?
Yeah, Game Boy, Amstrad. I think it was on everything. I think pretty much everything got a version of it.
Why did they release it on the Master System in 1997?
Well, that would have been Tectoy. That would have been in Mexico, well, South America, where the Master System continued to thrive. And I think it was Tectoy were the company that took on the distribution and what have you of the Master System. The Master System continued to be produced there in various iterations that we never got, and they got a lot of games therefore that no one else got, that were sort of Brazil, or I can't remember what part of South America in particular it thrived, but that area of the world, the Master System's still a thing even to this day. So they got a lot of titles. I have seen the Master System version in motion on a YouTube video, and it actually looked quite good. I haven't played it, but it didn't look too bad. I mean, the other thing, I mean, for me, the reason why I like this game so much really wasn't the arcade, and that wasn't really where I played it. Like I say, it was hard to get on the blooming machine. It was so popular. For me, it's always been about the Super Nintendo. That version was hailed as being near arcade perfect, and is still regarded today as one of the best porting jobs of probably any game, let alone ports of that particular game. And it got one up on the Mega Drive. It was really, people say, oh, Sonic and Mario was a sort of start of the battle. But personally, I was in the industry then when this came out. I think we got the SNES port towards the end of 92, around October 92, I think. So a year after it had been in the arcades. That was when the battle really started between Sega and Nintendo, the 16-bit war, certainly when I was working in the shop, because that suddenly meant you had this massively successful game everyone wanted to play, where you had to have a Super Nintendo. It was the only place to play it. I say only, it came out on all the other 8-bits and what have you. But if you wanted to play an actual arcade version of it, which was, of course, Sega's thing, the Mega Drive had sort of built its reputation on porting arcade games and doing very well at porting them.
Yeah, so it never came out on the Mega Drive.
Technically, no. Street Fighter 2, the original, didn't. No, what they got was Championship Edition a year later. So Super Nintendo had exclusivity to the top title and a new sort of breed of fighting game for an entire year. Their advertising was something they'd never really done before. You saw in the magazines, they really rubbed it in Sega's face. They'd been fairly muted compared to Sega's fairly aggressive, to be this good takes Sega, all that sort of, their various adverts that they pulled out of the bag back in the day were really quite sort of aggressive, in your face, and particularly in the UK, Sega was sort of promoted as a sort of more adult sort of machine. But then suddenly, when we got Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, it changed. It changed everything really in that battle.
Yeah, but I'm sort of surprised. I'm sorry, I'm stuck. I'm hung up now on me not playing it on the Amiga. Or maybe I did.
I'll check your list of backed up games.
I'm looking at a picture of the Spectrum version. I definitely didn't see that.
Neither did I.
That is a special. You got to look at an image of that. That is a special edition.
I can't wait to play it. I can't wait on the Spectrum.
Yeah. But I would have played. I guess I would have played it then on my brother's Super Nintendo.
Well, yeah, I would have thought so.
So I would have played it. I'm pretty sure. Would have played that, and that meant probably 2-player. But I can't remember playing it a lot. Well, no, then I may have played it on the PlayStation at one stage. Yeah, probably. I had it on the PlayStation, I think, as well. I think I played it on the PlayStation. I mean, I can remember. I'm saying this as if I've never played it, but I'm pretty sure I could do a Hadouken and shoot fireballs playing it right now. I'm pretty sure I'd pull that off.
Back, front, up, down, left, right.
Yeah, everyone. Or maybe everyone. You know, in the 80s were like, maybe we all could. Maybe they taught us how to do that on the film.
Oh God!
Maybe Kylie Minogue.
That's another.
Kylie Minogue came on.
The only good reason to watch that because it's got Kylie Minogue being Cammy.
Teaching people how to use to pull off all the different moves.
If you really want to see a good Street Fighter film, you want to watch Jackie Chan's film. I think it's City Hunter, where he bashes his head and starts having hallucinations that he's various Street Fighter characters.
Right.
That's the one you want to watch.
and I can remember Dhalsim with the stretchy limbs. Yeah. I can remember, I don't know the name of his character, but the one that could do an electric kind of shot. Vagels? No, not
Blanka.
Which one? Yeah.
Blanka. I guarantee it's Blanka. Yeah.
Blanka?
Yeah, Blanka.
Why, Chris? Why don't you remember me? Look at me. I'm green. And I got bright orange hair. How could you forget that? Everyone treats me like I'm some sort of monster. I'm not, you know. I'm nice if you get to know me. I do a lot of work for charity. I mean, this orphanage and the local hospital is kept in power by me and my electrical abilities. Just think how many lives would be lost if it weren't for me keeping the lights on so they could do all them operations. I hate you, Chris. I hate you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember... there's the Russian kind of the wrestler. Yeah, there's the sumo guy.
Yeah.
And then of course you got Ryu and Ken.
Yeah. Honda, the sumo guy.
Yeah, so I've definitely played it.
Guile, the American.
Yeah, Guile. Yeah, and then Cammy was the British female. What version was that then?
That was later on. I forget which version that she appeared in first, actually.
So I'm hoping to play this now in the second part in the Mega Drive Mini 2, right?
That'd be Championship Edition, yeah.
Well, that's the one I'm playing.
Well, that's the one that Sega got on the Mega Drive, say that just after the Super Nintendo one. So I should play it on the Super Nintendo. I think we ought to dig out the Street Fighter, the Spectrum Street Fighter 2, just for the halibut, and see what that.
I haven't got my hopes up for that one. I've got to say. I mean, I normally go into the Spectrum one saying, "Yeah, this is it. This is brilliant," but I don't know. 1997. Mind you, when they got the 1997, they would have been coding geniuses on the Spectrum by then. But so it might be amazing.
Wasn't that the Master System? No. The Spectrum one came out the same year as the Super.
Oh, no, you're right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 1992.
It came out before Super Nintendo.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
That's the only reason it's not as good as the Super Nintendo one, because they didn't give it that extra time to program and really let it.
They rushed it.
Yeah, they did.
They rushed it.
Got to be out first to market. Well, there, I think that's a good time to pause, folks. We're going to pause. We are going to take a few days now, in fact, probably this weekend, and go off and play the game. For you lot at home, it'll only be a few seconds through the magic of editing, so you don't have to wait that long. But if you would like to pause now and go and play the game, if you haven't played it for a while either, and come back and join us and see what we thought of Street Fighter 2 on the Spectrum. Sure, you can. And we're back. Welcome back, everybody, for part 2 of this lovely podcast, where we're talking about the mighty Street Fighter 2, which is perfect. It's the most awesome, most amazing, stupendous fighting beat-em-up game ever. Oh, you can hear it in the background there. Which is, of course, emulated, and everything we do is played on original hardware. And we're not in any way facilitating or advising that anyone download ROMs in any shape or form. If you didn't run off and play the game during the break, why didn't you? Go and play it now, press pause and come back. If you did play it, what did you think? Let us know below. Chris, did you complete it? Did you find the shin kick?
I found the shin kick, and in a way, I completed it. I mean
it is a shin kick, though, isn't it? I mean, you've got to say, it does legitimately have a shin kick. Or is it an ankle kick?
I never use those. I always just use the big ones. Who uses the little fast ones? They're a waste of time.
Well, if you're watching the video on our YouTube channel, you'll see me using the quick ones quite a lot.
Do you use the quick ones? What's the point in those? They don't do any damage.
If you use the quick ones, particularly the sort of very, very short, quick kicks, if you press down and kick, because it's quite a long reach, you can get about 3 or 4 kicks in. If you're really lucky and get that 4th kick in, you can stun them, leap forward, throw them, get a really big hit in.
Yeah.
That's Chun-Li dying, by the way, which is a fantastic sound effect. I was most disappointed, actually. I played it on arcade first, and it was like, all the samples are in there. And then I played the SNES, and I was like, my memory has failed me. I could have sworn all those samples were in that original SNES version. Perfect, and all that. It actually isn't. I was like,
No, yeah. And when I played it on the Genesis Mini 2 or whatever it's called, and I know that's not Street Fighter 2, it's another Street Fighter version. But immediately noticed.
I think.
Yeah, and that had all the voices. But when I played the SNES one, none. But you just got to run at them, crouch down, kick them, with the big kick, stun them, kick them. That's it, really. Done.
Thanks for watching this part of the podcast. We hope you liked our opinions on Street Fighter 2. Next time.
It looks good on the Spectrum. It looks good if I could get to play it.
Wow. Yeah, well, we were talking off mic. We failed miserably to legitimately find a legitimate copy of Street Fighter 2 and legitimately play it on our legitimate Spectrums that we've got several of. But we also couldn't find a ROM of it either that would work properly. So if you're watching the footage of it, thank you to Mad somebody or other, I'll put your name on the screen, World of Long Plays, for letting us use the footage to show you the stupendous conversion of the what is the ZX Spectrum version of Street Fighter 2. Everyone says it's awful, and I don't want to play it.
Well, I mean, but it's a technical achievement because the sprites do look huge.
See, whenever I say this about a conversion, you bite my head off. Whenever I say, I admire that they made it, you always go, it's rubbish. What's the point? So, to you, no, it looks awful. It's slow and unplayable. All the other people have commented underneath the Long World of Long Plays videos, it's terrible, it's awful. I don't know why they bothered making it. It's terrible.
Well, we'll never know because we haven't played it. I mean, that's only someone's opinion.
Yeah. Well, everyone can write below their opinions how brilliant it is. If anyone out there actually thinks that the Spectrum version of Street Fighter 2 is any good, feel free to let us know. because it's not, evidently.
I don't know if I had the TV, the monitor and the resolution, whatever, but on the Genesis, the Mega Drive Mini 2 thing, it was all kind of blocky. And I played the SNES one. It was Street Fighter 2 on the SNES was much better where I was playing.
Yeah, I like we said in the first half, that SNES conversion is brilliant. It is near arcade perfect. And interestingly, on our YouTube, on our Facebook channel, do follow us. Channel. I don't know that Facebook thing. Do follow us over there. I think we're on other things as well, but I don't have anything to do with that. But do follow us over there. I did mention that we were going to be looking at this, and I said, will it live up to my expectations? Will it be what I remember? And people are already arguing on there. It's amazing. As long as you play it in NTSC and not in PAL. Well, the Super Nintendo I'm using, that you've probably seen on the screen if you're watching the video, yes, is a modded one. So I actually did play it on the 60 hertz and the sort of slightly larger screens rather than the pillar box or letterbox 50 hertz slow version. But back in the day, we didn't notice. We were all playing it on the PAL versions. You weren't going, oh no, it's slow. And there isn't much difference between the 50 hertz and the 60 hertz anyway. But one of the other things other people were bringing up was the music. And they're saying, it's like, yeah, actually, playing the arcade and then playing the Super Nintendo, I think the Super Nintendo sounds better than the arcade. I don't know why, apart from so a few of the voice sample things are missing. But yeah, anyway, that conversion is brilliant. You've got the parallax scrolling of the floors in front of you, gives you that nice 3D depth. And yeah, just to go back to what you sort of quietly said under me wittering on, that yeah, actually the sprites are quite large on the Spectrum. They not normally known for doing large sprites and moving them around at that sort of speed. It does at least do that, looking at the footage. Yeah. Did you play any other versions? Did you play any of the 8-bit versions?
No.
Well, I played the Master System. I played the Master System version.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Which is actually really admirably very well done. The colours are there. All the it looks like Street Fighter 2. It's really quite impressive.
Can you change the colour of the background?
No.
On Street Fighter 1 on the Spectrum, you can.
Yeah, now you see, Street Fighter 1, I actually had that, I realise now playing this.
Really?
I had that original Street Fighter Spectrum. Yeah. I think I had a big box version of it. I seem to remember. I'll have to Google that, see if one existed. But yeah, the Street Fighter 2 on the Master System, I played it, and the only problem with it is, and this is not the problem I was imagining I was going to have with it, it's so flipping fast. It's so sort of, it's too fast. I just couldn't play it. I mean, maybe if I persevered for like an hour, but it was so all over the place. It was just really hard to control. And there's an NES version. I shouldn't play that one either. And almost exactly the same problem. It's got that very muted, pastel-y sort of look that NES games have got. So it hasn't got quite the same arcade look. It's very generous for the Master System. Arcade look that the Master System's got. It hasn't got quite the same. But again, it plays really, really fast, and I could barely sort of control what was going on. I think that was all I managed to play it on. So yeah, arcade, Super Nintendo, Master System, NES. I think that was about all I played on. There are a million other different versions. There's several different versions on the Game Boy Advance. There's the 3DO version, which was really, really good, that I did have back in the day. I forget which version of Street Fighter that was. But actually, like the original, in inverted commas, Street Fighter 2, there's actually very few versions of it that are what I would call very good. Probably the Super Nintendo really is the only one. The
Super Nintendo was the definitive version.
I would say of that iteration of Street Fighter 2, I'd say yeah.
So, which character did you choose?
I use not Ken. The reason I'm saying that's because
the guy called Ryu.
Back in the day, we all said Ryu, but if you watch anything now on YouTube, everyone's like we used to call them Porsches. back in the day. Now
Yeah.
it's Porsche.
Nike.
And now
Is
it's
it Nike
Ryu.
or Nike?
You're supposed
Nike?
to say Ryu.
Are you
It's
meant to
not
say Nike?
Ryu, it's Ryu.
Is it Nike or Nike?
No, it's Adidas.
Look, our podcast is about our Spectrum days, meaning
Rip-off.
our young time, being back in the UK, and we would have called him Ryu.
Coca-Cola.
He's Ryu.
Ryu, yeah. I use Ryu.
I
I've
use
always used Ryu. That's who I
Me
use.
too.
Yeah.
I use Ryu. Why? Who would choose Ken?
G'day, I'm famous film star Margot Robbie. You probably remember me from Barbie in the cinemas. I love Street Fighter 2. I use Ken. I use Ken all the time. I got right to the end with Ken. Good game, that. Good game.
But,
It's the same character.
I can't say who would use that. We'd probably get a YouTube ban if I said who'd used Ken.
Also on the Spectrum version of Street Fighter 1, you can change... No, wait a minute. No, was that on the Mega Drive? You could change colour of your gi, your clothes.
Well, yeah, that's because on that version you can play against each other, can't you, as the same character?
Well, I pressed... It's like somehow I managed to randomly change colour. Yeah. When I selected character, perhaps. I mean, also, choose Ryu because we're lazy. Just press A straight away.
Well, he is a sort of highlight character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the main one, yeah.
Yeah.
But I found it,
hard because you didn't complete it?
I found it... No.
Too many buttons? Lots of buttons?
Well, you just use the big kick. The big kick. And let's face it, can you throw a fireball on command, or do you 100% of the time, or do you sometimes accidentally?
That I do a lot of big punches.
Yeah,
I'm not big punching. I'm trying to do the fireball.
Well, don't you do but the fireball and then Hadouken. Yeah, that one. I'm always I do 3 fireballs and then I'll do a Hadouken or whatever.
Or it's Choryuken. Choryuken, Hadouken.
The one where you jump up and...
Yeah, I forget which one that is. And what's a spinning bird kick? That's
rubbish.
Or something.
That's rubbish. That's rubbish. No one ever wins you doing that.
Yeah, I like to finish with that one. It looks great.
But is there any special move to end a fight when they're dazed like that? Because I invariably end up throwing them.
Yeah, throws the biggest move you can do as far as removing energy.
I mean, and that is what Mortal Kombat did, was actually make that something interesting when you actually finish the fight. Whilst this is not very interesting when you finish it like that. But I mean, yeah, so I'd accidentally, I throw the fireball. So basically, you're just going to do that low kick for a bit, fireball them for a bit, and then that's it. And or then when they jump across the screen, also the big uppercut, and that'll deal with them. And then, did you manage to destroy the car, the bonus level, once you get past the character?
If you're watching the footage, I did, one I didn't, because there's the car and there's the wall.
The wall, yeah.
One I didn't and one I did, and I can't remember.
I don't think I managed to destroy 100%.
Is it the other versions, or was it in the arcade? There was also barrels that fall from the ceiling and you have to punch up.
But that was just pure filler, right?
I don't know I don't know what the point of that is. Particularly, I don't know. It's a bit of a hangover from arcade game days because it just earns you points.
It earns you points, but I mean, on the Super Nintendo version, you do seem to have infinite credits. So
yeah.
When I say it's easy, it's not really easy, but you can get through the whole game in maybe 30 minutes, I guess, if you just keep going, just keep continuing.
Well, the footage that I recorded of me playing the Super Nintendo version, I think is 34 minutes long or something. But I did continue, I don't know, at least 6-7 times.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't
only 6 or 7.
I didn't do it on my first go.
Oh, well, I'll do it again then. A speed run. No, I kind of gave up when my thumb was hurting. I was getting a bit of, because you're always trying to do the fireball was kind of a bit, I was going to get a blister on my thumb.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than trying to finish and your thumb starts hurting.
Hello, boys and girls. it's your Uncle Clivey Wivey here. I just thought I'd come along and apologise for the large amount of smut that appears to be happening in this week's episode of Spectrum Days. The lads are getting a bit hot under the collar. So I thought I'd come along and just let you know what's been happening here at Sinclair Research. I'm developing a new rubber-keyed keyboard. Rubber. I love rubber. It's soft, yet yielding. It feels good in the hand. It's rigid, yet malleable. Ah, rubber. It has an awful lot of uses. Anyway, hopefully the boys have calmed down a bit now, and we'll go back to them and see what they're doing now with that Street and Fightin' 2. That's a good game, isn't it, boys and girls? Nice, plain, good fun. I completed it.
Yeah, I understand. We all understand this problem. We're getting to that age. We are middle age.
And as usual, we were only single playing this kind of game.
Single, it's even worse trying to finish. I mean, yeah.
But definitely needed two players. Definitely need a partner.
Yeah, it helps with a partner.
Yeah.
Otherwise, less wearisome on the thumb.
Otherwise, I thought the game looked good, played good, but just a bit like just going through the motions. Really, it's no IK Plus.
There is no pleasing this man.
It's no Way of the Exploding Fist, is it?
No, you're right, Chris. It's really not like Way of the Exploding Fist. You are right. It's not like Way of the Exploding Fist in almost every way.
Well, I suppose it was complete. Going back, it would have been quite amazing playing it though on the SNES.
Yeah, well, we kind of covered that in the first half of our memories of it. Now it changed,
but I mean, going back to it playing now, it does look very nice, plays very well, but it's just one of those games where it's much more fun playing against another human being. Yeah, no. If I'm being honest, I now don't need to play it again on my own. Yeah. I recorded half an hour of footage, played this, got to the end. Yes, I continued several times, but if I could be bothered, back in the day, I used to be doing it on one continue because I used to play it all the time. Really? I think I mentioned in the first half, it was a game I played a lot on the SNES, on the Super Nintendo, not necessarily anywhere else, but on the Super Nintendo, I played it a lot when it came out. Yeah, an awful lot. But again, because people would come down to where I was working and would challenge me, and I would be playing other people. Right, all the time. It was the game that started that thing of people competitively playing. Yeah, this was well before Oh yeah, there's a tournament going on now or something. When I looked at the official webpage. Yeah, but when I got to the end of this, because you complete, so you got a world map. The little airplane flies around the world as you drop off to fight people, etc. You clear off all of the enemies on the main screen, but then it unlocks new characters. The baddies, the sort of bosses. Yeah, and I couldn't. I remembered them as soon as it happened, but I almost did think, oh yeah, great, I finished it. Oh, I've completed it. But I haven't. And then you get Vega come out. The new character. Vega. I think I got to Vega without having to restart. I think that's where I started dying. Yeah, Vega. I hate Vega. I've always did. Always hated Vega. But there were some characters that there's some characters I would get stuck on and have to use a few continues, and then other ones I'd beat them first time. Yeah. Vega, I think I miraculously did manage to beat him maybe first or second time. Well, yeah, random, but just sort of just, I don't know, it just seems to happen. And then the next one is then, of course, you say he's M. Bison, but he's Mike Bison. He's the next one, Mike Bison. But I didn't get past Mike Bison because, just sort of. Well, they had to change it, didn't they? Because it's supposed to be Mike Tyson was the Balrog character, but M. Bison still sounded too much like Mike Tyson, so they swapped it. So the Balrog character, the boxer in front of the Las Vegas, was supposed to be M. Bison, as in Bison, but it was still deemed to be too close. So they changed it. Yeah. And who was after that then? Who's after
Isn't it then the last guy, isn't it? I can't think of his name now. You got me now.
Oh, you mean I got that far, that close?
I think so. Yeah, if you got Vega and then it's Balrog and then it's the last, isn't it the last?
You sure Balrog isn't the last one?
No, because he's the boxer. What's the last one? It's the guy with the cape. He's M. Bison. With the bell in the background.
So you've invented
he takes his cape off.
So Bison was always called Bison.
No. No, Bison was meant to be the boxer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's called. The boxer is Bison.
No, he's not.
What's he called then?
Balrog or something, isn't he? I don't know.
You just said the Balrog was the last one.
No, that's another bloke. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. It was 2 days ago, and I'm trying.
Yeah, I completed it. Yeah, can't even remember.
Look,
2 days
video.
ago.
Everyone can watch the video. It's all on there. Don't listen to us. Just look at the video, and you will see.
We're gonna have to start videoing you playing these games.
Oh, man, I'm not sending it.
Camera
I'm
over
not trying to break
shoulder.
a record. I'm not sending it into Twin Galaxies. I'm not trying to get some record.
I need an independent adjudicator, please. Someone who could be sat in with you or video evidence. This is really you playing this stuff.
Right. What game are we looking at next week that you can complete?
Well, by the way, I got to one thing. Got to say, I miraculously immediately remembered the moves. But there is no tutorial. There's nothing like that. It's pure straight up arcade. Just warning. Anyone who wants to go back. I know there's a lot of youngsters out there listening, and they get tempted to play these retro games, thinking there's some sort of onboarding or some kind of tutorial or something to hold their hands. There's nothing like that. So if you've never, ever, ever, ever played this, and you don't have the instructions, the box, good luck.
But you can go into the settings and change the difficulty. You can make it easier.
Do you think in the arcade cabinet it had some kind of instructions, or did everyone just have to find out?
It did on where the buttons and the joystick was, and up the sides. I think from memory, it had the move set. Yeah, the base. I'm not sure I know all the characters, but I think it has the basic move set. I think.
Well, okay, so so that's Street Fighter 2. Still a good game. It's good. What's it get? Thumbs up? 12 out of 10? I
think it gets a double thumbs up. I think as far as holding up, the Super Nintendo version is really, really, really good. Very playable today. Yeah. Very similar to the arcade. Yeah, brilliant.
Still looks great.
Yeah,
it looks great. Yeah, I like it. Thumbs up. Double.
Not your sore one, though. Don't put that up, will you?
The blistered one. Two blistered fingers. That's what it gets. 2 blistered thumbs.
Oh, dear. I think I've got that on DVD. Which we'll be reviewing next week.
Well, until next time.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.